Alright, welcome back to the Supercoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to do our NRL fantasy preview for round 2. So obviously going through and looking at the moves that I'm going to make, and I'll be honest, at the time of starting this recording I haven't fully committed. So this is going to be some live thinking and trading, and obviously if there is a late minute switch I'll probably just comment underneath this video. But I guess before we get into it, just having a quick look at some of the trade-ins, trade-outs for this. So as you can see, there's this website here, footystatistics.com, which someone has graciously put together and shows us all of the sort of stats from the NRL fantasy. So unlike Supercoach, where you got to pay the money to see all the stuff, I just use this website. It's all free. So you can see obviously things like averages, captaincies. You can also see break-evens. So we'll just have a look at a few real quickly. So Ben Trbojevic, the only one in negative this week, so hence why he's a popular trade-in. Sonny Luke with a 0, so obviously as soon as he walks out on the field and does something, he'll make money this week. But I have already identified him as a trap in our tops, traps, and slaps video this week. Richie Kenner, I think, is potentially a trap as well. I didn't mention him in the video, but his defense was not great. So obviously you could make some money, but maybe not in the long term. But I guess I'll let you guys have a look at this a bit further in your own time. I'll just introduce it, and looking at the popular trade-ins and trade-outs. So Lockie Galvin at number 1, I think is, makes sense. He is in the starting team. He's bottom dollar, which obviously facilitates a lot of great moves. So definitely one I'm considering. Ben Trbojevic, if you haven't got him, get him in. Cheap, still available, still cheap, available in the centres and the edge position. So that dual flexibility is really nice. And I think, his job security is decent, although Josh is coming back through reserve grade. But I think he'll really have to earn his spot given Trbojevic's performance in the first round and his obvious talent. Terrell May, another popular option in the middle, particularly given that Lenu is going to spend a lot of time on the pine. So, he has that extra sort of job security in terms of his role will probably be the same. And it did look really good last week. So definitely another one in my considerations. Jesse Arthurs, I guess, had a good game last week. I wouldn't be rushing to get him in. I think there's better options. But I can see why people wouldn't want to bring him in. Jacob Gagai, so the fact he's got a second game means I'm definitely thinking about getting him in. It's just going to be the long-term job security that's a bit of an issue, I think. Payne Haas, so I guess, the best captaincy option last week, the best middle in the game, arguably the best player in the game of NRL fantasy and NRL, I suppose, if you think about it. So yeah, I can see why people would get him in, but you've got to make a lot of money somewhere to make that happen. Tallis Duncan, I think, will be a popular trade-in too. I haven't heard the latest on Jai Arrow, but he's going to be out for a good few weeks, you'd imagine. So I think Duncan might just have that spot locked up, especially given they haven't named a Cheekham or a host on their reserve. Only on the extended reserves, I suppose, not the interchange, I should say. Jaden Barrell's gone up. I'm not sure what that's based on. He wasn't named to play, was he? I might have to go by and look at that. But I would have thought that, that's a silly move. If you want a bottom dollar player, get Galvin. He's playing this week. He'll make you some money. Sonny Luke, I've already suggested, I think it's a bit of a trap. But, he is another year older, another year in the system. He may start to sort of show that promise that he's displayed in his junior days. Ethan Strange, I think, yep, you can bring him in. Obviously, he didn't set the world on fire last week, but that was only his second first grade game, so cut the kid some slack. Jamin Salmon, another one who disappointed last week, but I think, he does offer value at the price. So if you didn't get on him, you can definitely bring him in. Um, and then after that, I guess we can quickly go through Docker Clay and Marshke. I'm not sure what that's about. Neither of them are named in the 17. I'm fairly certain. Cleary, if you want to bring him in, you could, especially now he's a bit cheaper. I wouldn't begrudge anyone that. And Joey Manu, obviously, if you want a gun centre, there's worse options than him. The trade outs, so Spencer Lenu, pretty obvious. Tupanu is named to play, but I can see why people would want to trade him out. But it's one of those picks where you picked him for a reason. He's had one average game which was affected by injury, but if he goes and plays an 80-minute role this week, his price will probably be back to where it was, and then he'll be up and up from there. Keanu Kinney, so I guess people didn't like what they saw from him, but I think he provides the perfect sort of loophole opportunity this week. So you can't make much money out of him. You'd be obviously like trading with Galvin or something. Would be the only feasible move, and you'd obviously have to have a wing fullback cover. I guess Gagai you could go to for that wing fullback cover. Jai Arrow, yep, good call out. Willison, yeah, he's not named to play again, so you can get out of him. Totola, I think, yeah, just the minutes aren't there that we were hoping for. Kotrick, not named, so yep, he's out. Wade Egan's an interesting one. I think, he didn't do the worst job in the world last week, and we know what he's capable of. So I'd hold him. Addo Carr, I think, yep, should miss this week, although he was named in the extended reserve and wants to play. But I think there's something not quite right in his shoulder. If he was in such pain last week, so just give yourself a week to freshen up and get back into it. Mam, yeah, I've already said. I think you can chop him. There's some cheap halve options available. Make some money that way. Dylan Lucas is an interesting one. He should only miss 1 week, so I'd hold, but I can see why people would do it. Palacio, I think you can get rid of. Sherry, yeah, until he's named, you don't need him. Munster, he has too much money on the pine for someone not playing. And Hands, I think, is a good option to get out of, considering that he's playing such few minutes. So I guess having a look at what everyone else is doing makes me think about my team a bit. Um, but I guess part of the thing was we picked all these players for a reason going into round one. So Grant, obviously keeper, Murray keeper. Brandon Smith is our cover for Harry Grant in round four and did good enough. So happy to have him as my second hooker. Tupanua, as I said, was a bit flat, but he was injury affected and he's named to play this week, so you're assuming he's right to go. Piakura, just an unfortunate occurrence last week. He'll be back. Curran was solid. Offers dual position flexibility, which is nice. Nathan Cleary and Hines are gun keepers. We're not going to move them. Travojevic and Strange have still got a lot of cash to make, so they're fine. Pappenhausen, it was a tough game against Penrith, so he'll bounce back. Tua Picky's making cash, so he's fine. Kinney, we're just waiting for Jaden Brayley to come back, but he may be one we can trade on. Ruben Cotter was okay. Only being middle eligible means that he may be on the chopping block. We can get, we've got enough flexibility and we've got enough cover in our middles where he is probably the expendable one. Salmon, I think, is going to make some more money. Hutchinson, I mean, if I'm going to bring Galvin in, it's probably going to be for Hutchinson. I've got Flanagan making a bit more cash. So it's just a numbers thing. But I think Hutchinson does have value in him. But obviously Galvin probably has a bit more. Haas, he'll make some more money next week at least until Fafita comes back. So we'll hold. Flanagan, is making a bit of money, so we'll hold him for the time being. Chan and Hughes, I think, have more in them. And Bostock, we'll give him another week or two and see how he goes. So, as I said, I think the sort of targets are either like a Hutchinson, a Cotter, or a Kinney. We've only got about 44k, so if we got out of Hutchinson and bring in Galvin with our first trade, it gives us 221k, so we're probably not quite, if we could go straight up to Payne Haas, that would be sick, but we can't do it. So I think we're going to chase another money maker, and a lot of people might think, well, like Terrell May's an obvious choice at 523. I guess the two that I'm tossing up is either Seyfarth, so named to start a lock for the Tigers at 359k, or Tallis Duncan, who's playing on the edge. He's a little bit more expensive, so I'm probably going to lean towards Seyfarth out. And then it's just a question of who I'm wanting to trade out for him. So, just looking at, so you can see the price differences here, which is handy as well. It's potentially a toss up between Tupanua and Cotter. I guess maybe the fact that we've got two Roosters would lean towards Tupanua. But as well, the Roosters don't actually have a buy until round 13, so they do offer good long-term holds. That's also the same with Cotter, I suppose. The Cowboys don't have a buy till I think round 16 or something ridiculous. So it could be that we can afford to go Kinney out. So we'd probably have to do something like put Bostock in the wing fullback, and then we can trade these guys around. And it does free up a bit more cash for us to do a bit more later, which is pretty handy to have as well. So I guess the issue, if I get rid of Kinney, is I'd need to do a trade next week to cover Bostock, because he'll be on the buy for the Dolphins. But that's all right. I think we're going to chase some value, try to make some money. So it's a bit aggressive making two trades in round one when we sort of do believe in those picks, but I think having these guys confirmed just makes it a bit easier for us. So in terms of the team, I did have it set up with actually I didn't own Hutchinson up here. I was going to originally sort of potentially loop Hutchinson's score, but we may not need to worry about that. So when does everyone play? So the Dragons play on Sunday. So we may just swap Flanagan with Galvin. See how Galvin goes in his debut. And obviously if he flops, we can just put Flanagan into number 4. But I think the other three we're pretty comfortable with starting over Chan and Hughes. They're just slow burn cash makers for us, and that's fine. And then the VC and C. So Hines is, I think, the obvious captain option against the Dogs. As much as I don't want the Dogs to get smashed, it could happen. And we'll VC Cleary in the unlikely event that Hines doesn't get up. So there's the team for the week and the moves. I guess, with fantasy, you can be a little bit more aggressive early because, the money does change from week one. So, if you do this and Supercoach, this is a good opportunity to get that rage trade energy out. In Supercoach, we do want to sit and hold for a week. But that's the team. So, as always, if you've got any questions or comments or thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. If you enjoyed the fantasy content, remember to give the videos a like. Subscribe for all of the fantasy content we've got on this channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.